think at some point, I think it is going to come out to where our curriculum will reflect some things that happen in St. Bernard Parish. It makes a difference to know those things that happen. It really would help us go further.
I want to bring back in my colleague now, Emily Lane. We know one of the main questions about both of these massacres is trying to figure out how many Black people were killed. For the Thibodeau massacre specifically, Emily, what is being done right now to get that answer?
Well, elders believe the bodies of the Thibodeau massacre victims are buried at a site in back of town. So in 2018, a group of students and professors from Tulane and the University of Louisiana at Lafayette started working together to confirm that. Project leaders say they need more money to finish what they already started. While that's on hold, more people in Thibodeau are acknowledging this dark time. In 2017, there was a mass for the victims. Catholic Bishop Sheldon Faub presided over it.
And I thought that by celebrating the Mass, it would heighten knowledge, and with that knowledge, we might be better able to make decisions in the future that will not repeat past mistakes or past prejudices. And I say in repeating past mistakes, I mean not respecting human life and human dignity.
Another topic of discussion here, descendants are pushing for historical markers at these massacre sites because they say the fight is still relevant today, from voting rights to fair worker wages. I mean, Emily, if you look at just what happened this past spring in the state legislature, it's one example.
Yeah, that's when lawmakers voted against bills to raise minimum wage above $7.25. Constance Williams, the only Black council member in Thibodeau, said she feels that's one example of why many in her community still struggle.
Job opportunities, housing, such as this, our parks, playgrounds, all of those things are a part of who we are. But it's not truly even in terms of a playing field.
And in St. Bernard Parish, the only physical reminder of the massacre is a tombstone for Pablo Sanfilou.
Everything about this tombstone is inaccurate. First, it uses the word sand, which means saint, so they were trying to deify him. They also claim that he was assassinated, which implies that he was of some importance. And they claim that it was the fault of carpetbaggers. Carpetbagger is a derogatory term given to people who came from the north to the south after the Civil War, and the date is just wrong.
So today we, of course, want to give a big thanks to the families who were so open and vulnerable with us, and the community members who helped share their stories. To be part of this conversation on our hidden past, head now to WDSU.com. Thank you.
do.
Phyllis was a very, very good friend of mine, and unfortunately she passed away and she had cancer. We're so grateful that he was caught and she had a chance to see him plead, and then her sister was able to read her impact statement.
On June 17th, 1976, I went to bed not knowing that in just a few hours, my life as I knew it would change.
We all stood up so she could see us in the hospital, and she was watching us from our hospital bed. Phyllis did not have to leave this world holding on to that. She was able to let it go, and she was able to get justice. We gave her an early Christmas. We had a Christmas party. One of the survivors called in and sang Silent Night to her. She's a musician. Our therapist wrote her a poem, and she called and read it to her. And we did the Christmas, and make me cry a little bit. We were there until the day she died. So that's kind of like how deep these friendships went.
We talked for hours on the phone before we met.
Yep.
There was just an instant ability to have a conversation that could go on.
Right.
And we just talked about everything.
You know, the rape connection gave us a bond that many people can't feel. But beyond that, Gay and I, about a month ago, I guess, we went up to her cabin. And I remember us talking and saying, you know, you're my friend, not someone that I know that got raped. You know, we're friends. We're not rape friends. And I care so much about her and so many of the other people that we really, you know, we know each other's families. Cheers to friendship. We don't talk about him at all. We talk about our dogs. My dog, Cello, is the brother of her dog, Callie. They met Cello first and said, oh, we would like a lab because their other lab had passed away. And so, you know, it's just, I don't know, we really enjoy each other's company.
I'm not sure if this is true of other victims, but when I've looked back on my life, I found it very difficult to make friends after the attack.
There is the fear that when they find out, whether you tell them or they find out from someone else, that they will be so disturbed by it that they will distance themselves.
Absolutely.
And they will go away. And that is, that's painful and hurtful.
I'm going to do whatever I can to take the blame and the shame away from victims and survivors.
Chris decided to establish the Facebook group, Sexual Assault Survivors, It's Time to Tell Your Story. With the survivor group, there's an instant recognition of, oh, this is someone who has shared an experience and knows what it's like and has to deal with, adaptations in their life as well. And it has somehow, I don't know, made it easier to forge new friendships now.
For anyone that can finally tell their story, and that is in many different, that doesn't mean you stand up and say everything that happened to you. For some people, that's really important to get that out. For other people, they write music, or they have a journal, or they write a poem, or they, paint a shed. It just depends on how they want to express themselves and how that they can feel whole. And I believe our group does that.
I had attended high school through the 70s in the Valley in Lodi, which is a farming community, a wine growing community, and met my husband after I graduated from college that year. And I was a real estate broker and a marketing director for a real estate development firm. We both had very busy careers. We had put off plans to marry for a while. We were just happily going about our lives, and bought the home with the intention that we were going to move towards setting a date, and eventually we would have a family. When I was diagnosed with PTSD, which was 7 years after the attack, the psychiatrist then explained to me that what happens is your central nervous system is basically rewired, and it won't ever go back to the way that it was before. I was experiencing severe, unbearable anxiety during the course of my second pregnancy. And I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't function well because of this terrible stress that I was under. He said, this is what has happened. You have unresolved trauma. You suffer from PTSD that hasn't been addressed. And, if you weren't expecting a child, I could probably help you a lot with medication, but because you are, you can't have medication. So he decided, and rightly so, that I really needed to leave the stressful job that I was working in, that was requiring me to travel and be isolated and be exposed to strangers and so many triggers at that time. So I did. I don't know who I would have been if the attack had not occurred. I had dreams of going further in my career. I had thought about going to law school myself, and the attack changed all that. It was just, there were so many obstacles every day that needed to be negotiated and worked around. And so my husband and I agreed, and we made changes. We sold the big house, we built a smaller one, we enlarged our family, and in the end we had a healthy little girl. And we realized how much better our family life and our marriage was when I was no longer in that stressful position that I had made a career for many years. We were each other's partner and best friend before the attack, and we're each other's partner and best friend today. And we didn't let it destroy us. So what would I change now? I wouldn't. I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't give any of my 4 children back. So, but it's hard for a victim to understand that their path has changed. They will just have to make adaptations along the way and try to balance what they're doing with the goal of happiness in mind, especially in a case like ours, which went unresolved.
When Joseph D'Angelo was caught, I had no way to process it, because after my rape, I was told to never ever talk about it. I just had to undo the voice in my head from my dad.
As the evening began on December 18th, 1976, I was a normal 15-year-old kid. The next morning, December 19th, I woke up knowing I would never be a child again.
I had to go through that trauma again, and I wasn't equipped for it. And so